Hello, book lovers. I'm Peg, the book prize addict, and I really wasn't planning on making a video today, but yesterday a big, new, exciting book prize long list came out, and I knew you'd want to hear about it, and really I wanted to talk about it. So here I am to, excuse me, talk about the DESMOND ELLIOT Prize long list. I have not followed this one before, but it really sounds interesting. It's for a debut novel, and the Daily Telegraph calls it the UK's most prestigious prize for debut authors, and I think you'll find out. You'll understand why when you hear a little bit about DESMOND ELLIOT himself and how it's done. First, I'll just say a little bit about it. It's an annual award, and this is the 11th year that it's been going on for a first novel published in the UK in English, and it has for debut authors, of course, and it has they have three judges, and one of the judges this year is Sarah Perry, who was the author of the Essex Serpent, and it's ironic that when I get to going through the books, one of them is compared to it's called the 2018 version of the Essex Serpent, so I wonder if it will be a shoe-in or what. Anyway, and I will say that the winner of this gets £10,000. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about DESMOND ELLIOT. What a character. Okay, he passed away in early 2000s, but he was quite a famous literary agent and publisher. He started out in an Irish orphanage, and the first anybody heard about him was when he left there quite young with £2 in his pocket and went to England, and he ended up working at Macmillan Publishers and just stayed in the publishing business and became, as I said, quite a big name in the literary agent business and also as a publisher. Now, as for his personality, they say he was charismatic, witty, and waspish. That kind of sounds like Steve Donahue, doesn't it? Okay, anyway, but here's more. He drank only champagne and flew only on the Concorde. And Fortnum and Mason, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, was his local grocery. Now, even as an American, I had to look into it a little bit, but it's a very upscale, I guess, department store / supermarket, and kind of compared to our Saks Fifth Avenue if it had fancy food for sale. I don't know. Anyway, but in honor of that, the final ceremony for the prize of this prize will be at Fortnum and Mason, held there. So I guess anybody could go. I don't know. That would really be fun. I don't know if they'll be drinking champagne too. So anyway, let's get on to the books themselves. Very interesting bunch, and some of them we've heard about in other prizes. Oh, I just dropped one of my books. Oh, okay. So let's get going here. I'm going to quickly run through. There are 10 on the long list. It will be cut down next month sometime to a short list, but I needed to talk about all of them on the long list. Okay, the first one you've heard about before. The clocks in this house all tell different times. This was on the Costa debut list, and it's also now currently on the Walter Scott historical fiction long list. Oh, I have to say, I was looking at the quotes, or, the blurbs, and one of them was by our own Jen Campbell, our BookTube star, that she called it one of her most anticipated reads for 2018. I haven't heard if she ended up liking it or not, but that was interesting. It's a dark social realist fairy tale showing the shadowy undersides of 1920s England. And I did read this back then, and it has a bunch of strange, injured soldiers from the First World War that live in the woods, and some children are involved. And this had kind of a divided reviews, I will say that. I need to reread it. I don't think I actually finished it, so it might be a good time to reread it. Okay, next we have How to Be Human by Paula Kokoza, and she is a writer for The Guardian, but of course this is her first novel, and it deals with the breakdown of a marriage, suburban claustrophobia, and a woman's unseemly passion for a fox. I ordered that right away from the library. They had it, but I'll pick it up today because I don't really know too much about this one, but I'm anxious to read it. Okay, next we have one that I actually have, and you all have heard of quite a bit lately. It is Eleanor Oliphant, and no, we haven't got there yet. This is The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock. It was a most anticipated book of the Sunday Times, the Irish Times, and quite a few others, and deals with mermaids, madams, and intrigue in 1780s London. And this is actually currently on the Women's Prize list, for fiction list, and it's being reviewed by quite a few excellent reviewers here on BookTube. This is the one that one of the blurbs called it the Essex Serpent of 2018. So since the author of that book is on the jury, it'll be interesting what they make of it. Okay, next we have, oh, here we go, what I was going to talk about. Next we have Eleanor Oliphant. It's perfectly fine. Now, just about anybody that's been following any prizes at all has heard of this a lot. It won the Costa Women's Prize for debut fiction, and it's currently on the Women's Prize, I think. All of a sudden I'm blanking. Yeah, but anyway, there's been many reviews and opinions on this. The most strongest opinion is people that feel that it's about a dysfunctional woman and has some history that causes this, and she kind of magically is cured, and a lot of people had some problems with that. I will say that it's already being made into a movie and produced by Reese Witherspoon, so I don't know if she'll be the Eleanor or not. So you'll be hearing more of that about that one, I'm sure. Okay, next we have 7 Days of Us. And again, I hadn't heard too much about that, but it is at my library, so I'm going to pick it up here today. This deals with a English, I guess, older English country house story. And it's over Christmas, and an extended family meets there, and because of some sort of quarantine, one of them has been introduced to some strange disease. They have to stay there in quarantine together for 7 days. Whew, I can't imagine my family doing that. Whew. Okay, so that should be interesting. Okay, next we have Peculiar Ground. This is an English country house novel spanning 3 centuries. I'm also picking this one up at the library today, and it sounds kind of interesting when you can kind of immerse yourself in. I think it's fairly long. I like that. I like English sagas. Okay, next we have How Saints Die. This is, I hadn't heard too much about this. It's actually, it's not available in the U.S. I did order it from England, but it'll probably be a while. But it deals with this 10-year-old girl who lives with her fisherman father on the North Yorkshire coast. And there's something strange. I'm not sure if her mother has disappeared or there's some strange goings on, but it shows the mental health, poverty, and identity through a child's eyes. So I guess you might call it a coming-of-age story. Okay, next we have One Star Awake. I love that cover. I like arty covers, I guess. This deals with a young woman who comes to, as in awakens, in a Paris restaurant where she evidently works and has complete amnesia about how she got there. She's apparently survived some kind of terrible trauma. So I guess this is the rest of the story as she finds out. This has been done before, this amnesia trope, but it could be good. There always room for good ones on this. Okay, next we have, here we go. Oh, it always does this at least once during every video. Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. That's not showing well, but you've probably seen this one before. It's kind of been suggested for a lot of the list, and I've heard a lot of talk about it here on some of the BookTube channels, but I'm not sure if it actually made any other lists. But anyway, it's a dark, funny comment on modern relationships and the delicate cruelties of human interactions. Okay, now let's see. The last one, actually, I have that one, and I love it. It's great. Okay, it's We That Are Young. Now, this was on the Republic of Consciousness long list, which is the prize I've talked about before for small presses. And the small press that published this was the Galley Beggar Press. And I believe I read that Galley Beggar has had a book on the Desmond Elliot Prize list for the last 5 out of 6 years. So they may be growing and not be so small if they keep picking great books like this. Anyway, this is the story of a very wealthy, extended Indian family living in India. Business, they own many businesses, and they fly around in jets. And it's actually a play on the King Lear story with a father and 3 daughters and fireworks between them all. I really like this. I'm going to read it again. So that's it for the Desmond Elliot Prize. And let me know if you have read or plan to read any of these or anything else. So have a great weekend. Bye.